The alien arrived during the autumn equinox, when the colony world of Harmony was celebrating its 20th year of independence. Its ship, a twisted mass of dark metal that seemed to absorb, rather than reflect light, crashed into the western plains with such force that the impact tremors registered in settlements 300 miles away. When the colonial defense forces arrived at the crash site, they found only one survivor, a massive, armored being unlike any species humanity had encountered in its centuries of space exploration. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, with iridescent scales covering its broad frame, the alien warrior was pulled unconscious from the wreckage. They brought it to New Geneva, Harmony's capital, and placed it in a reinforced containment chamber within the colony's main research facility. The alien healed with remarkable speed, but remained silent and motionless whenever scientists or military personnel approached, its 4 amber eyes tracking their movements with predatory intensity. "It's definitely sentient," Dr. Marcus told the Colonial Council during their emergency session. "And based on the technology we salvaged from the crash, it belongs to a civilization far more advanced than our own." Governor Eliza Torres frowned at the holographic image of the alien warrior. "Have we made any progress in communicating with it?" "None," replied Captain Reed of Colonial Security. "It refuses to respond to any of our translation attempts. Just sits there, watching. My men are calling it the Sentinel." The name stuck. For 3 weeks, the Sentinel remained in perfect stillness, accepting neither food nor water, its scaled chest barely moving with shallow breaths. Scientists theorized it might be drawing energy from an unknown internal source. The only movement came when someone approached too close to the containment field. Then the Sentinel would surge forward with such violence that even hardened security officers flinched back. After the 5th week, rumors spread throughout New Geneva. Some claimed the Sentinel was a scout for an invasion force. Others believed it was a criminal exiled from its own kind. Fear permeated the colony as citizens glanced nervously at the night sky. "We need to move it to Earth Central for proper study," insisted Military Commander Ortiz during the next council meeting. "This facility isn't equipped to handle a potentially hostile alien entity of unknown capabilities." The council was about to vote when the doors to the chamber opened, admitting a slight elderly man in simple brown robes. "I request permission to speak," said Father Thomas, his voice soft but carrying easily through the room. Governor Torres sighed. "Father, with all due respect, this is a matter of colonial security." "And a matter of first contact," the priest countered. "I've studied the reports. Your scientists approach with instruments. Your soldiers approach with weapons. Has anyone simply approached as one sentient being to another?" Commander Ortiz scoffed. "And what would you suggest? Offering it communion?" Father Thomas smiled gently. "Something like that." Despite objections, the priest's reputation for wisdom, he had been among Harmony's first settlers, carried weight. With reluctance, Governor Torres authorized a supervised visit to the Sentinel. The security team was visibly nervous as they escorted Father Thomas to the containment area. "Stay at least 3 meters back from the field," Captain Reed instructed. "At the first sign of aggression, we're pulling you out." Father Thomas nodded and approached the transparent barrier. The Sentinel, as always, sat cross-legged in the center of the chamber, its armored exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh lights. To everyone's surprise, the alien's posture changed subtly as the priest approached, its head tilted, amber eyes focusing with new intensity. Father Thomas stopped just outside the recommended safety perimeter. Then, deliberately, he removed a small object from his pocket, a simple wooden cup, and placed it on the floor before sitting down cross-legged, mirroring the Sentinel's posture. Minutes passed in silence. The security team shifted uncomfortably, hands hovering near their weapons. Father Thomas remained perfectly still, his eyes closed as if in meditation. After nearly an hour, the Sentinel moved. It uncrossed its legs and came forward, stopping just at the containment field's edge. A low, rumbling sound emanated from its chest, the first vocalization anyone had heard from it. "Dim the lights," Father Thomas said quietly, not opening his eyes. Captain Reed hesitated, then complied. In the softer light, the Sentinel's scales began to glow with a faint bioluminescence, patterns shifting across its body in complex sequences. Father Thomas opened his eyes, and watched with apparent fascination. "It's communicating," whispered Dr. Marcus over the comm system. "Those patterns, they must be a form of language." Father Thomas nodded slightly, then reached forward and placed his hand against the containment field. The barrier hummed, separating his palm from the alien by mere centimeters of energy. Everyone held their breath as the sentinel slowly raised its massive, clawed hand and placed it against the field, directly opposite the priests. "It responds to reverence," Father Thomas explained later to the astonished council. "The sentinel comes from a warrior culture where status is everything. Their scientists and soldiers approached as inferiors, curious or cautious, but looking up at it, I approached as an equal, offering respect." Over the following days, Father Thomas spent hours with the sentinel, sometimes in silence, sometimes speaking softly about human history and beliefs. The alien began responding with its luminescent patterns, which linguists worked frantically to decode. The breakthrough came when Father Thomas brought an astronomical chart. The sentinel traced constellations unknown to human star maps, and for the first time, the colony understood. The sentinel wasn't a threat, but a refugee, the last surviving member of an ancient guardian caste, sworn to protect worlds from a darkness moving between the stars. "It didn't crash here," Father Thomas told the council. "It came to warn us." The sentinel rose from exile to become Harmony's protector, and Father Thomas became the bridge between two species bound by a common purpose: survival against the coming void.